Hey guys, John here and welcome to the High Budget Strat. Although our low budget strat is great for first timers or those with more restricted budgets, it's not necessarily ideal for the more seasoned dropshippers with a bigger bankroll looking to quickly and efficiently scale a store up. And so I've gone ahead and prepared an alternative version of the start phase, the high budget start. For those of you who are looking for something with a little more kick, the strategy I've outlined is one that I have personally tested and continue to use in 2020. It allows for the testing of multiple creatives and audiences in just a single day, which is perfect if you're a fan of scaling fast. That being said, you're going to be spending a lot more right away, $500 on the first day and potentially thousands on the second. If you're not comfortable with that big of a jump, I recommend going with the low budget start instead. In any case, let's look at what I'll be covering in this lesson. First, I'll show you how to set up your initial testing campaign. You'll learn what types of budget optimization to use, how to pick out target interests, and the various campaign settings I recommend using. After that, I'll briefly talk about the requirements you need to meet in order to progress to phase 2. I'll also give you instructions to follow if you find that you're unable to meet those requirements. Alright, so without further ado, let's jump into the setup. The high budget setup is relatively straightforward. Your test campaign is going to be a $500 daily budget CBO. The CBO will have 10 ad sets with 3 different creatives per ad set. The setting will be as follows: budget $500, bidding automatic, conversion purchases, time start 12 a.m. the next day, location worldwide minus a few countries, age 18 to 65 plus, gender all, interest you're going to exclude dropshipping for all of them, placement automatic, conversion window 7-day click or 1-day view. Now on a side note, I'm assuming that you're a more experienced dropshipper, and so I won't be walking you through how to set up the campaign step by step, as you likely know how to do it yourself. If this isn't the case though, I recommend that you instead go and watch the low budget video where I walk you through the entire setup from scratch. Now let's go back to the setup and talk a bit about what types of interest you should be using here. For the interest targeting, I'll do something very similar to the low budget method, except I might try something slightly out of the ordinary. In case you skipped over the low budget method, I basically picked out 3 broad interests, 10 million plus in audience size, to start off with. Since we're running the neck device, I picked out neck, vertebral column, and joint, which I was able to generate using the suggested interest feature within the ads manager. With the high budget strat, the approach will also include these audiences, but in addition to these, you'll also want to find 3 more audiences that too are also broad but more loosely related to your product. In the case of the neck device, I would use something like the following: wellness, massage, and muscle. And then to get our desired 10 interest count, I'll also pick out 4 interests more closely related to neck: shoulder, cervical vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae, spinal cord. And after creating these, queue them up to launch at midnight of your ad account time zone and let the CBO run for a day before moving on to step 2. Alright, so when should you move on to phase 2? So dealing with higher budgets, you're able to get a pretty good idea of where you're at after a much shorter period of time. With a $500 budget, you can do so after just 1 day. The decision process you should follow is quite simple. If your cost per purchase is 20% above your target cost per purchase, then I strongly recommend turning off your campaign and going to less than 5.4 to troubleshoot your funnel and try again. If you barely broke even or went slightly below your target CPP, I recommend you let your CBO run for 1 more day to see if your performance increases before moving on to phase 2. If your performance doesn't increase on day 2, then it's time to watch less than 5.4, troubleshoot your funnel, and then try again. And finally, if you're profitable on your first day, you're ready to move on to phase 2. Alright guys, that's about it for the first phase of the high budget strat. Make sure to check out the next video if you're having trouble getting out of this phase. 5.4 is all about troubleshooting and fixing up your funnel. That's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video.